Welcome back, everybody. IGN Live, San Diego Comic-Con, brought to you by Lucy and the Evil Within. It's time to take a look at Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney.
Yes.
Daniel here from Nintendo, going to tell us all about it.
Yeah, so that's great. Yeah, we're going to be showing off Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, which is a game that takes two very well-known characters and brings them together into one situation.
In a death match.
No, they actually they'll be working together in some ways, in different ways. But what we're starting up right here, as we're getting it, is just kind of a. We'll go through this a little bit here. There's a motion moment that a movie moment that I want people to watch to get an idea of the setting that's going on with this in this magical world called Labyrinthia.
What is this heat? It's like an oven in here.
I will now pronounce the verdict. This court finds the accused guilty of being a witch.
Witches are to be cast straight into the hellfire!
So this is the witch's court.
A little bit of a darker tone there. Yeah. Essentially what's going on here is that Professor Layton and Phoenix Wright have been pulled into this magical world called Labyrinthia, and they're both there. Now this character named Espella has been accused of being a witch, and she's asked for help from Phoenix Wright, who happens to be in Labyrinthia at this time. What's interesting though is that Phoenix Wright, when he jumped into this world, lost his memory.
Oh no.
So he's actually the assistant baker to Maya. Maya becomes his boss, his famous assistant. And Professor Layton and Luke are also in this world as well, and they're moving independently of each other as they're moving through it, and they periodically will cross paths in the game. So when you're playing the game, you'll have the opportunity to go through both versions of either playing with Professor Layton's puzzles, or have the opportunity to go into courtroom scenes like this here with Phoenix Wright. And right now, I'll probably ask Gil to, he kind of went through a little bit of the story of explaining what's going on with that. What I'm going to have Gil do right now to kind of speed things along a bit is probably jump out, go back to the main menu real quick, and then he's going to jump to a different part of the game where he's actually showing off what's really new about the gameplay that's different than people might not be familiar with Phoenix Wright. So as people might be familiar with Professor Layton, it's all about those puzzles, those kind of brain teasers you have to kind of solve as you go through the story. And Phoenix is known for basically interviewing witnesses and going through objections and things along those lines as well. But in this one, what's going to happen here, right now we're still in this section here, where he's right now trying to get into the courtroom sequence, and the trial's going on, and basically right now there is no official prosecutor. So the judge is about to dismiss the case, but out of luck may have it, here comes the Inquisitor, Barnum.
No respect. The Spanish Inquisition.
No Spanish, just the Inquisitor, Barnum, who does bring a sword to the court.
Of course.
It is a witch's court. You have to be always ready to defend in the courtroom sequence.
That's legal in Labyrinthia, though.
Yes, in Labyrinthia, this is completely normal. And that's how it works. So, and that's kind of interesting how the story works, too, is that you are in this magic world where Layton and Phoenix Wright do not know what's going on. And they're trying to understand it, and that's kind of how that whole mystery breaks in for them.
Knights of the court, I have but one question.
So how does an assistant baker end up in the courtroom?
So the assistant baker ends up in the courtroom because Espella, who was accused of being a witch, is allowed to choose her own defender. And she chooses Phoenix Wright. So the guards go to Phoenix Wright Bakery and force him to come here, help defend her. So real quick right now, I'll ask Gil to go to the menu screen, Gil.
Sir.
And back out, and we're going to jump to a different section of the game real quick. Because the game has a lot of dialogue. It explains the game mechanics and the story, the elements that are going into that. What we're jumping to now is, as I was talking a little bit before about the Phoenix Wright aspect, where you're basically interrogating witnesses and trying to find contradictions in what's going on. What changed a little bit here in this version is, for Phoenix Wright, you're now going to deal with multiple witnesses at once, which has never been done before in the Phoenix Wright series. So here you see there are 4 witnesses right now that are going on here. And essentially Espella has been accused of being a witch because she was accosted by 2 rogues. And when that happened, they became engulfed in flame. You don't really know why, and that's kind of, now these witnesses said they saw what happened and they saw they become engulfed in flame. So they're assuming that she's a witch.
Gotcha.
So now it's up to Phoenix Wright, who at this point does not have his memory. So he still thinks he's an assistant baker.
Sure.
And he's now trying to go through
Your Honor, I may be a lowly baker, but even I know reasonable doubt.
But what's great too, like as the game goes through here, as we're going through these courts, he'll at one point even say objections, like this feels oddly normal.
Yeah.
Like he starts recollecting certain aspects of him going through here.
Now, isn't it kind of a leap to see somebody on fire and assume automatically they're a witch instead of trying to help them?
Well, so basically what Espella did, there were two rogues attacked. She drops her lantern that she's carrying, and then a moment later, the rogues become engulfed in flame, like a giant pillar of fire. Kind of what you just saw a minute ago in that.
Right. So it was an accident.
So there's possibility. So she claimed that she didn't do it.
Okay.
But now there's all these other witnesses here that he's interviewing. They'll have their own perspective of what happened. And as you go through this, each witness is the fourth witness. They're each saying what they saw, why they believe that Espella is a witch. So, right, there's a little humorous line there. The old knight, they're basically saying he doesn't really do much work, or he just kind of watches things. So Phoenix says that he's probably just jobless. So here we go in here. Now you have the ability in this portion now that he's getting to actually go through the testimonies of each of the witnesses. And what you'll be able to now then, once you hear their testimony, is either press them to get more information of them or present evidence to assume a contradiction.
Gotcha.
So real quickly, I know he's
What is wrong with Phoenix?
He's sweating bullets. Yeah. He's got like a fever.
He's nervous. He's going through all this stuff. So we're going through the text pretty quickly. I know when you play the game, you'll have a chance to read all this in more detail.
Gil's trying not to ruin the story.
Gil's have to ruin the story, and there's a lot going on. So here we enter into the cross-examination section with multiple witnesses for the first time. So he's going through here, he's seeing what each of them saw. So he can press or present evidence. To see what's going on here, you can scroll through each of the witnesses, see what they're claiming.
So this lady brought a sheep to court?
Yes.
So anything goes here.
She couldn't get a sitter. Brian, they're burning people alive in the courtroom.
Yeah.
The least of the problem is the barnyard animals.
10 seconds after they're hurt.
You got stores, you got sheep, you got people on fire. This is kind of like court TV shows they show during the day while we're all
Yeah.
Exactly. So what he did right here now, he actually pressed a witness for more information, and in the end, the judge and the inquisitor are like, this doesn't make any sense what you're pressing this person for. So now what we're going to do instead is present evidence to this person in a second.
Objection!
The inquisitor also objects.
Oh, that's no good. Ooh. Turning it around on you.
He's basically pressing, like, how were you able to see everything, and he's basically explaining that this is now a sketch that is explaining what happened here. So there's the two rogues attacking Espella in the middle. And he was basically claiming that the witness couldn't see what happened. But then he's saying, no, it's a contradiction. The inquisitor is saying, nope, she had a lamp, which proves that she was able to see, that the other people could see what's going on.
Wait, that's not, a sketch doesn't hold up in court. Anyone could have drawn that.
Well, remember, this isn't Labyrinthia. It's kind of a medieval time sense to it, what's going on.
So anything goes. There's no photographs.
Anything goes in here. There's no
photographs. What do you want them to do, Brian? They have no security cameras.
Which is also why, that's good that you bring it up. It's pretty funny, too. But that's why they do multiple witnesses at one time, is because they would take too long to do one at a time. So this is, again, that whole change of medieval times.
Now, we do actually have a Facebook question if we could take a moment to answer this.
So if we'll do this Facebook question, then we'll get back to that once about evidence there.
Howard Sander asked if you could subtitle Layton game, what would it be? What do you think of Professor Layton in the mystery toolbox?
That's a good one.
That's I can totally see that being.
The question about the subtitles, being that I'm from South America, I kind of like the idea of taking real-world aspects and putting into a Layton game would be kind of fun. My parents are Peruvian, so I'm actually a big fan of the Incan history. Okay. So it'd be cool to see something dealing with the Incan Empire, some kind of mystery behind the Incans along those lines.
That's a long subtitle.
It is a long subtitle. So a short subtitle would be
Professor Layton and something to do with the Incans.
And the Thinking Incans.
The Incan Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Okay. Professor Layton and the Mystery Toolbox sounds like a late night.
It's true. What's really cool here, though, what Gil is doing right now, is that you do earn hint coins in Professor Layton from that, and now you can actually apply hint coins here. So what Gil has done is apply a hint coin, which basically, when he was scrolling through the different witnesses, it said you should present evidence to this witness. Dealing you directly to go to. So he's presenting evidence right now in his classic objection form, and now he's starting to feel like this is something he's used to doing.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen eventually here is that he does show this lantern as evidence, saying that how could a lantern that has been broken, or how can a lantern that's been broken cause someone to be engulfed in flame? And in the end, what will end up coming from there is determining that you couldn't engulf human beings in flame from a lantern unless they were covered in oil. Sure. And we'll go through, and we'll see how much we get through this now. It's takes a little bit of text to go through all of that.
He remembers everything.
He does. He's starting to remember everything going on now, which is why he's objecting to the witness.
Oh, that is a crazy point. I love that.
We are just about out of time.
So after this, and I'll say what happens. Eventually, what will happen after this moment here, Professor Layton actually walks in, saying, hold it, because the judge is about to pass sentence thinking that Estelle is a witch. But Layton walks in with something called the Grand Grimoire, which has some evidence that you don't know that is able to now help the case for Estelle. So that's where you start seeing the crossover aspects of how the characters will interact with one another.
When is Layton versus Phoenix Wright out?
That comes out this August, actually.
Right around the corner.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. Yeah, so really soon, toward the end of the month of August. So
Daniel, thanks so much for coming by.
Of course.
Stay tuned. Much more from IGN Live at San Diego Comic-Con after these messages.